what algorithms to use and what subset, how to distribute resources, most of the current portfolio methods treat the individual algorithms as black boxes. So I have an instance of a problem, I throw a bunch of algorithms to that, and if any of them can solve it, we are through. But what happens if none of the algorithms can solve the problem? Portfolios can never solve a problem that is not solved by any of the candidate algorithms. So that is a problem in the sense that we thought that can we do something better? Can we make the portfolios something more than just a collection of algorithms? Another problem we have with portfolios which use algorithms as black boxes is that they do a lot of repeated work, because if you think that algorithm A finds a path, a partial path to some intermediate state or some places, that is not known to algorithm B. Algorithm B has to recompute the same path and then take it forward. So we wanted to investigate this problem, that what happens if we can share information among the portfolio algorithms and not treat them as black boxes. So again, our domain is search algorithms, and first we try to see whether such sharing is at all possible. The first observation we have is that most of the search algorithms, starting from the UCS and DFS, VFS to the current very complicated algorithms like ES and multivariate tester, they rely on the basic dynamic programming principle, in the sense that they compute a path from start to goal by computing intermediate paths to different states. And when you think about a given partial path, which algorithm computed that path doesn't matter at all. I can throw a partial path from computed by algorithm A to algorithm B, and algorithm B can take that path from that intermediate state to goal, combine it, you get a full solution. So philosophically there is not much problem in sharing information among portfolio algorithms. But that only answers that can we share? Yes, possibly we can. Should we share? We don't know, but we had these two arguments about sharing, that sharing paths can maybe make the portfolio more robust than the current scenario, and also may reduce the repeated work. The basic idea was to target this, that through information sharing, we wanted to see or investigate whether we can solve problems that are never not solved by any of the portfolio algorithms. This is a very crude way of motivating that what we wanted to see. But think about this as, I did it on MacBook, so the animation is cruder, but think of a problem like this, and if we run vector tester, we know this. There is a local minimum, so vector tester will get stuck in between. Think about another algorithm like beam search that is not as greedy, so it doesn't get stuck into local minimum that way, but it moves slowly. Vector tester tries to go directly to goal, but beam search takes its time in a tortoise way. But let's say it cannot finish. What happens if you could share? Can we reach a state where beam search creates some paths to states outside the local minimum and gives them to vector tester? And once you find some path outside the local, some state outside the local minimum, vector tester can take you directly to goal. So this is our best case scenario. Of course, in real life, things are not as rosy. But with this, with this motivation, we propose the search portfolio with sharing, which basically follows the same principle of algorithm portfolios. It runs multiple searches to solve a given instance, but with the difference that now it tries to maximally share the intermediate state and path information across the algorithms. Now, before going into the depth of SPS, we tried to design this framework keeping some properties in mind. So we call them desirable properties. The first two are very standard for any search algorithms. We want to guarantee completeness and bounded suboptimality. We also, of course, want to avoid repeatedness. The third one is a bit tricky. We want to preserve the individual search characteristics as well as constraints. Now, for black box kind of portfolio, this is never a problem. As the algorithms are never mixing and merging, they always maintain their individual characteristics. But if you think of I throw the entire frontier computed by a tester search to beam search, then beam search characteristic is gone. because it uses specific pruning things that doesn't really gel well with searching through the entire frontier. So we want to preserve them, and that creates a little bit of problem while designing these such portfolios. So for this, to facilitate these properties, we started characterizing the search algorithms or grouping them with respect to specific properties. These are the 3 specific properties we chose because it helped us. One, we tried to divide the searches into admissible and inadmissible search, which is a very standard notation. Admissible or bounded admissible searches guarantee completeness and solution qualities within a given bound. In addition to that, we impose one more restriction, that it uses, whenever it selects a node to expand, it satisfies some properties. The second classification we do is among non-base first and base first searches. There are many inadmissible searches which are base first, like greedy base first search. It's inadmissible, but it still works with a prioritized list and picking nodes from that list. But there are searches that doesn't follow this rule. For example, the classic DFS. DFS is not a base first search. It doesn't use a priority queue or anything. It just goes on using a stack. And these are different for our purpose. The final property we use is whether the search only orders the states it sees, or it also restricts or prunes some states. For example, again, greedy base first search. It's an inadmissible search, but it only uses an ordering. It doesn't impose a restriction or pruning, external pruning. But if you think beam search, even for the base first beam search, it doesn't only order. If you work with a beam width, after whatever you have seen after the beam width, it just throws it away. So with these properties, we basically characterize some of the well-known search algorithms. I won't go into the details of this, but more or less we find 4 categories: admissible searches, inadmissible searches that are base first, non-base first searches, and inadmissible searches that prunes or restrict frontiers. And we treat them a little bit differently within the SPS. Now let's go into the details of SPS. The SPS algorithm uses the structure that we found that we use for multi-heuristic STAR. Instead, it uses one anchor search and a bunch of auxiliary search algorithms. This is a very useful framework because we can derive many properties of the final algorithm using the anchor search properties that we have found earlier. So we kind of continue with this. The anchor search has these duties that it decides on the termination criteria of the entire SPS algorithm. Also, it decides how to expand and control other searches. In the sense, it gives a binary yes/no solution, yes/no answer whether to expand from another search or not. The auxiliary searches, of course, they do their own selection and ordering so that we can preserve their characteristic. Also, at times, I'll expand on it a bit more, at times we have to reinitialize because the auxiliary searches can be terminated for certain reasons, which will be clear when I go for the expand state routine. The idea of expand state is whenever I am expanding a state from any of the search frontier, I remove the state from all the frontiers. On the other hand, the best way would be here now to whatever new path we discover through this expansion is shared with all the algorithms. But that is not always true because this sharing may sometimes change the characteristic of an auxiliary search. So we use an additional layer to decide whether to share the information or not. So now you can see the removal is from all frontiers, sharing is optional. So it can very well happen that a search has nothing to expand from. All its frontier is expanded by other searches and nobody shared anything with them. In that case, we use the reinitialization to again re-invoke the search with different seed. Now we go back to our original categorization and see whether what role can we use this category of searches and how do we share or not. And as you can see, and probably it's very expected, that admissible searches can only be used as anchor searches. For auxiliary searches, there is no restriction. You can use admissible, inadmissible, whatever. Nothing changes in the property front. Sharing is possible shading is open for any base first searches, shading is not possible for any non-base first searches, and for restricted frontier searches, it requires certain conditions which is defined like for example, say main search. If it already has a big frontier, you cannot increase the frontier because that will break the memory constraints of the search. This is more or less the design aspects, and using these design aspects and using basically writing on the anchor search properties, we can guarantee nice properties of SPS, which basically we expect from any search algorithm, which is completed bounded suboptimal. It only expands a node at most twice. Even if you throw in hundreds of algorithms, doesn't matter. And also, as we use the anchor search, it never expands states from searches which we can say that they will never find a solution within our chosen bound. So it gives a control to other searches. So the inadmissible exploration doesn't go haywire. Finally, although I presented this as a round-robin scheduling, we basically don't do round-robin scheduling, and we try to do some intelligence on that. Here, we should note for black box portfolios, we have learning-based solutions where we know these algorithms do that well in a particular domain and can use them to schedule. So there is a prior and that we can use. But the problem with this mixed match kind of shading algorithms is now we have to run all combinations of algorithms to see, because there is no algorithm B, because algorithm A can help algorithm B now. So we cannot do offline scheduling that well. What we do is we just borrow from the work of Mike Phillips et al., which uses dynamic Thompson-Wentz sampling, and I'll not go into the details. You can look at it in the paper. It works like a charm. It's much better than round robin. Some experimental results. We use vector search, our favorite algorithm for anchor search, and fill up the portfolio with greedy search, beam search, and window search. We compare with individual searches, a portfolio that doesn't share, and also with the explicit estimation search, which is a very good algorithm. First, some results on the sliding tile puzzles. These are big size puzzles and our favorite domain. I will not go into the details of all these things, but I will say that please look at this highlighted column. These results show that the union of solved instances among all the algorithms which are run independently. So for 10 cross 10, all the algorithms as a union could solve only 38 instances. And now when we do this shading, especially with this DTS scheduling, we can solve more than that. So what we wanted is kind of justified that now the portfolio has become something more than just a collection of algorithms. Of course, there will be many other indicators, but you can look into it if you are interested. The second domain is sliding tile puzzle, but with square cost, and it has been known earlier that this is a much more difficult problem. And you can see the weighted system, which could solve 30 to 50% problems earlier, now gets completely screwed. It cannot solve anything almost, because though the domain is the same, the costs are different. What we can do, as we have the option of using auxiliary searches that are inadmissible, we use the auxiliary searches to mimic the unit cost domain and keep the weighted system as is, and we see that we can reach almost the same performance as the unit cost puzzle. Okay, there is this ARM planning results and also 3D navigation planning results. You can look into it. I'll not go into the details of all this. As a conclusion, such portfolios can probably benefit from shading. We can use them to satisfy properties, make more robust decisions, and while offline scheduling and resource distribution doesn't work for this case, there are nice online solutions that can probably do much better than the basic round robin. And that's it. Thank you.
And we have plenty of time for questions. What happens if the
portfolio becomes asynchronous or inherently concurrent. And in particular, I'm interested in what happens to your bounding guarantees if you're using weighted A star as some sort of master.
So, at this point, we have run everything in a sequential manner, a single machine solution. We are looking into the parallelization aspects, but the philosophy is once we run one weighted A star thread, that always gives you a lower bound. You can always provide the theoretical guarantees. It's basically, it's a free market on the auxiliary structure. You can do anything as long as you can make sure the weighted A star order is not changed. Does it answer? We can probably take it up.
Other questions?
Maybe just a quick comment that this idea of maintaining partial solutions and having lots of different methods or knowledge sources or algorithms or experts has been explored in the context of something that's prehistoric, really, the Blackboard architecture. And in that context, the algorithms don't have to each be capable of solving the whole problem, but can be specialized to specific aspects of the problem. Do you see something like that?
Actually, we tried these kind of things mostly on the robotics problems, not exactly this, where you have planners that can solve a particular problem, and generally what you do is you hand design the entire system that, let's say there is a planner that goes till the door, then there is a planner that opens the door, and you say that this is the sequence we follow. But if you use this platform, or there is a multiple sinister platform, that can be automated. So you can just throw all the planners and it will figure it out by itself that which partial solutions we used for. So yeah, it can be supported.
So one of the things that is really cool about this, that seems like an advance over the multi-cube S research that Malta did so long ago, is this anchor search providing this guarantee to you still have bounds of optimality and all these nice properties. But I wanted to ask, one of the nice things about portfolios is if you have K algorithms, you will get at most K times slowdown over any individual algorithm. Is there anything you can say here about how the searches might interfere with each other? Like, could you get more than K times slowdown? Or
yes, actually, we are trying very hard to find such a nice bound on that it will not get worse than minimum of the K algorithms that we use. But when you share, you generally, we have generated enough counter examples to refute our own claim. But we are trying.
What if every other expansion you ignore the nodes that you got from sharing or something like that?
Yeah, we are exploring that. It's like it's a challenge. I would say that we are looking into it. Yeah, and I will be very happy if we can get to something like that.
Okay. Other questions?
Very nice work, very impressive. So I was interested to see that even for things that I think would be kind of homogeneous, like different instances of sliding tile puzzle, you kind of see this effect of multiple, elements working together, solving more than union. And I wonder, and I realize I can't answer it right now, but I wonder if we could get any insights for deriving better single algorithms from that as well, because obviously there's something that all these algorithms are missing, right? I mean, it's very natural that a portfolio-like approach kind of does well over very different problems, right? But here it kind of happens in one domain with a quite uniform kind of structure. Is there anything there, do you think, we should research there?
So I would say it's basically depends very much on the local minima that are created by these algorithms. I found it really hard to characterize the local minimum, the size, date, where it goes out, and I know Professor Ruman and others are also doing. I think for such community, this will be the challenge. If we can characterize and can draw a correlation between the size and the date of local minimum to the progress of an algorithm, probably will be true. But at this point, it's very fuzzy.
Thank you so much, Sandeep. so our second talk in this session on search is going to be on pattern databases, in particular, how to efficiently represent pattern databases using acyclic random hypergraphs. And the talk will be given by Andy.
Thank you so much. Hello everyone, and my name is Acyclic, and today I'm going to talk about a new approach for representing pattern databases using acyclic random hypergraphs. So we know that abstraction is an effective way for creating domain-dependent heuristic function, which is usually implemented as a pattern database that is simply an efficient lookup table, fast lookup table of abstract state and heuristic value pairs. There are several efficient approaches for implementing pattern databases like binary decision diagrams or algebraic decision diagrams or level order text sequence. And we have this whole family of hash-based approaches, which is the simplest one is like the regular hashing that we use some sort of collision resolution mechanism for address collisions, and then we have this class of perfect hash functions and minimum perfect hash functions that try to avoid collisions totally. And the set of the other approaches, the most efficient ones in this class are compress hash and displace algorithm and PDB or DPZ algorithms. These are very efficient memory-wise and time-wise, but still not good enough, not fast enough for pattern database representation. So what we have been trying to do in this work is to introduce a hash-based approach. This is also in the class of perfect hash functions and minimum perfect hash functions. That is domain independent, is generic, and it tries to provide a good trade-off between the space usage and lookup time. So the main idea, the whole idea of this work can be seen in this slide. It's very simple. So assume you have three abstract states, P1, P2, and P3, with their associated heuristic values, 1, 0, and 2. And assume you have three hash functions that map every one of these abstract states to three different locations in the lookup table. Now, the idea is to calculate the heuristic value associated with every one of these abstract states from the combination of the values that are determined by the three hash, by the three addresses that are determined by the hash value. So, for example, if you look at P1, it's mapped to three locations, shows that is shown by three dash values. We have three values, 2, 1, 1. We want to combine them using a simple and fast function. We just use a single addition, so 2 plus 1 plus 1 is going to be 4. And assuming the highest value in this pattern database, number of different depths in highest value in the pattern database is 2, we use the modular 3 operator, and we get the value of 1, which is the heuristic value of associated with P1. But another question is, how do we populate this table so that this kind of combination can be achieved? And my main question is that why are we using 3 hash functions and not like 2 hash functions or 5 hash functions? And we will answer all these questions in later slides. So this is the 3-step algorithms. The 2 first steps are mandatory, and the last one is an optional step that we usually prefer not to do because of the additional overhead of lookup time. So the first step is mapping. In this step, we generate an acyclic 3-part 3 uniform random hypergraph, and I will explain all this in the next slide. But the important thing is that after this step, we have an acyclic 3-part hypergraph, and from the output of that step, we have the assignment step that uses the output of mapping step, assign values to the vertices, and the vertices exactly correspond, the value that we assign to vertices exactly correspond to the values in the lookup table. So when we are done assigning values to the vertices, we are actually populating the table in the way that we we wanted and explained in the previous slide. And we also can have an optional compressing step that we can get rid of the zero values and only keep the non-zero values to have a more efficient, more compact algorithm. So we start with the mapping step, but first of all we need to know, we know what the hypergraph is. It's just an extension of a graph to edges with any number of vertices. We have R partite graph, so it means that we have R disjoint set of vertices, and we have R uniform hypergraph, which means that every edge connects exactly or goes through exactly R vertices, and it's random, which means that every vertex for an edge is chosen randomly from its corresponding part. So for example, if you look at that graph, we have 3 parts, 0 and 1 is 1 part, 2, 3, 1 part, 4, 5, 1 part. So we have, and if, for example, if you look at E2, that's, if you get that edge, the first vertex 0 has chosen randomly from 0 and 1, 2 is chosen randomly from 2 and 3, and 4 randomly from 4 and 5. And you should know that this randomness comes from the 3 hash functions that we are going to use. So basically, using the hash functions, we are generating a hypergraph with these properties. And we are in particular interested in the one hypergraph that contains those cycles, and we will see in our next slides why this is the case. So in a hypergraph, contrary to the normal graph, there are different ways we can define a cycle. But we are in particular interested in one definition, which is actually the strongest definition of a cycle in a hypergraph, which says a hypergraph is acyclic if and only if some sequence of repeated deletion of edges containing at least one vertex of degree 1 results in a hypergraph with no edges. I will explain the process of cycle detection in the next slide so that this becomes a little bit more clear. So, for example, we have this hypergraph. We start by finding all the edges that contain at least one vertex of degree 1. We put them all in a cube. We start working on this cube, removing one edge at a time. Put every edge that we remove from that cube in a list. We are going to use that list later in the assigning step. So remember that we have created a list here. But also we are removing that edge from the hypergraph. And after removing that edge from the hypergraph, we look at all the vertices that are affected by this removal. If after this removal there is now a vertex that is of degree 1, we are going to put the edges that is connected to that particular vertex to the cube. And then continue working on that cube until the cube is empty. When the cube is empty, we look at the graph. If there are no edges left there, it's an acyclic hypergraph. So, we should know that in the mapping step, we keep generating hypergraphs until we find an acyclic one. So, but what's the guarantee that we can find such a graph? There is this theorem that says that if the number of, for an R-partite R-uniform hypergraph, if the number of vertices in an R graph is greater than or equal the number of edges times a particular constant, where that constant is a function of the number of parts in the graph. If the number of vertices is greater than that value, the space of random hypergraphs is dominated by acyclic ones. So it's very likely that you find an acyclic one. And if you look at this figure, this shows that constant as a function of the number of parts in the graph, so C of R, the function of R. So for example, if you look at the 7-part hypergraph, they have a value around 1.7. So this means that if the number of edges, the number of vertices is greater than or equal number of edges times 1.7, it's very likely that the random hypergraph that we have generated is acyclic. And the important point here is that we are having a minimum at r equal to 3, which is 1.23 almost, and which means that we are going to find the minimum size hypergraph, which is equivalent to finding a minimum size lookup table when we are using a three-partite hypergraph, and which means that then we are using 3 hash functions. So that's the reason that 3 hash function is so important here. And so after now that we are done with the mapping step, so in the assigning step, we remember that we created that list. It can be easily shown that I can explain to you the topics on the interested, but it can be easily seen that if we traverse that list that was created in the mapping step from table and moving backward and start assigning values to vertices, we can have the proper assignment that we were looking for in the idea that presented at the beginning of this presentation. I will give you an example here. So, for example, we have this hypergraph generated in the mapping step. We have the lookup table all unassigned, initialized to 0, and we start looking at the edges one by one, moving backward in the list that created in the mapping step. So this is the first stage. Here we have 3 unassigned entries that we can actually use to get the heuristic value that we want. And for the next one, vertex number 4 is already assigned us, but we still have 2 more that we can place to get the heuristic value that we want. And for the final one, although 2 of them are already assigned, we still have 1 unassigned entry that we can actually adjust in the way that to find the heuristic value that is desired. So the basic thing in the whole idea is that we always want to make sure that we always have at least 1 unassigned entry. That's the reason we are working with edges of degree 1. At least have 1 vertex that we can adjust so that we can get the desired heuristic value that we are looking for. Okay. So I'm going to talk about the details. So let's talk about the now that we have seen the mechanics of the filling of that lookup table in the way that described at the beginning of this presentation, we want to know how this can be actually adjusted for PDB presentation, because we are using we are calculating 3 hash functions, which can be time-consuming. But the important thing is here that the theorem that we mentioned in the mapping step requires full randomness of uniform hashing. That theorem requires this condition. But in practice, it has been shown that, and we have seen in our experiments, that we don't really need the full randomness of uniform hashing, and we can use the limited randomness of universal hashing. And that's good news for us, because then we can use the hash function from the class of calculation hashing, which is low-based hashing. And the good thing about low-based hashing is that it's strongly universal, it's streamline independent, and the main quality is that the hash value of a child, you can calculate the hash value of a child from the hash value of a parent, and this just using the parts that are different in the state representation of the hash value, in the state representation of the child state and parent state. So it's going to be very fast when you calculate 3 hash functions, because we are just using an XOR function and the parts that are different from this from child state to parent state. And also another quality of quality of our algorithm compared to these CHD algorithms that those two algorithms, because they are not making any assumptions, they are not working on PDB, they are generic, they need some information to store the hash function information. You can see the details here, but we don't need to, because we are just using the values in the table for that. We don't need to use any information to store hash function information, and some easy calculation you can see in the paper you can find it. As long as the number of different heuristic values in the PDB or different depths in the abstraction is less than 248, we can do better than BDZ without the compressing, and BDZ is using the compressing. So we can do better than that, and this number for CHD is 512. So this means that we can ignore the compressing step and avoid the overhead lookup time, and it can still do better than BDZ and CHD. And for experimental results, so that's what it is. We have experimented 3 problem domains, 6 abstractions, and we have generated 1,000 uniformly problem 1,000 problems uniformly and used with IBS star and solve them and average the timing. And comparator approaches, we have implemented this in PSVN, and the PSVN is the hash function is not very efficient memory-wise, but it's very fast lookup time. So as you can see, the lookup time of our algorithm is just a little bit slower than the lookup time of the actual representation PSVN. So this means that we are having a wide solution. So for the next steps, this is just an introduction of the new idea, just introducing the new direction, because I actually really like to see how this compares to like PDB or Lotus, and we have resources to implement those and compare them. And but there are also other directions that I'm interested to look into. For example, how this can be combined with other PDB conversion schemes that require a perfect hash function as their as part of the scheme, and because, for example, 1.16 tab database is there, they assume some kind of perfect hash function exists, but they use some kind of domain-dependent perfect hash function. But now we can actually transfer this to domain-dependent setting. And also, I'm just interested to see how this can be adjusted to the dust compression algorithm. Thank you so much.
Time for question.
In the theory of perfect hash function, like you cited the work of Botello and of Hypergraph.
You have to say more loudly.
Louder. Okay, in the theory of perfect hash function that you refer to in your work, there was Botello as first, and then Hypergraph and Cosmos Park and others that worked on the problem. There is a difference between minimum perfect hashing and perfect hashing, where you have a bijection or an injection. And the compression ratio usually is better if you do not work on minimum perfect hashing, but only on perfect hashing. Is that something you can exploit in your algorithm?
So the question is that they have this compression scheme, and now you're saying that if we can do the same, we can have a minimum perfect hash function for our algorithm. Is that the question?
No, if perfect hash, non-minimum perfect hashing, will this give you additional compression or not? So if you have like empty spots in your hash tables.
No, we are having empty spots now, but since we are not using, because they also need that memory for storing the information for the hash functions, as you So anyway, for each entry in the lookup table, they need, like, for example, 2 bits per entry to save the hash function information.
Yes.
Yeah, but but you don't need to do that in the non-minimal case. Okay. But if you want to do the same thing, so if you come, they have also in this argument that they have this ranking or compressing set.
Yes.
That so they don't have any empty spots. So if you want to do the same thing, we are going to do that compressing set that I mentioned, and we are still doing better than them. But in our implementation, we actually didn't use it because we were still doing better than them in the minimum interpretation, but we were not using the compressing set. But we can do that. But we are adding some lookup time, so that's the reason. Yeah. So to summarize, in any setting, we are doing better than them. But since we are dealing with pattern databases, it's better to have some empty spots in the lookup table than to add to the lookup time. This is what I'm talking about.
An additional question for Ben. So personally, I'm remembering this very clever work that Monjo did on, I guess maybe it's this OS procedure that you mentioned. Do you have, I know you haven't compared against it yet, but do you have any inclination about how it might come out or how they compare?
What?
The LOS?
I know it's going to be a little bit faster than PDB because I have these results in the paper that I think Marcel and Obi they have actually explored the efficiency of ADDs and BDDs, and I know this is going to be a little bit faster than that, but I have no idea about this.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so now we're going to turn to parallel search for our last topic of the session. This is on automated creation of a work distribution function for parallel best-first search, and the talk will be given by you.
Thanks for the introduction. This is Liu Junai, and I'm going to talk about parallel A-star search. So hash distributed A-star, or HDA star, is parallel A-star, which distributes nodes according to the hash function, which assigns each state here to a unique process. So each process runs basically saying as A-star, expect that it sends a generated node according to hash function. So as HDA star relies on the hash function for load balancing, the choice of hash function is significant to its performance. So there are several previous work on which hash function to use for HDA star. So for example, Zoris hashing achieves good load balancing, but at the cost of high communication overhead. Whereas data abstraction achieves low communication overhead, but has worse load balancing. So in previous we proposed abstract service hashing, which is a hybrid of previous two methods. And it achieves good load balancing and low communication overhead at the same time. But the problem of this method is that it requires a parameter, which we call feature abstraction. So in our ICAPS, in this paper, we propose a method to automatically generate efficient feature abstraction for abstract service hashing. So first, I want to describe the property of the hash function for use of HDA star. So state is given as a set of features or literals, xi's, and given a state S, a hash function HS returns a process ID, which owns the state S. So given a state space, we will distribute a state space graph to each process. So we want to design HS to achieve the maximum performance for HG A star. So what kind of property we want to have? So first we want HS to be balanced. So for example, this is a bit awful balanced graph because most of the nodes are assigned to process 0 and process 1 may end up be idle. So we want the hash function to be balanced. At the same time, we want the value of HS to not change so frequently because it causes communication overhead to send a node from process 0 to 1 and 1 to 0. So these two properties are ultimately trade-off, but so our goal is to design HS achieving these two properties. So first I want to talk about Zoris hashing. The goal of Zoris hashing is to distribute nodes uniformly among processes. How it does is it initializes a table of random bits with R, and then XOR the hash value, RIXI, for each feature. So the formula looks like this, and I have an example in puzzle. So state is represented as a set of features. For example, X1 equals 2 means time 1 is in position 2, and for each feature, we have feature hash value in random table R, and by XORing these feature hash value, we get a state hash value. So that's how we calculate Zoris hashing. And the distribution of the state space graph using Zoris hashing looks like this. So it achieves quite good load balancing. But the problem of Zoris hashing is that it requires high communication overhead. So think about a route from node 0 to node 6. It requires a communication from process 0 to 1, back and forth and back and forth. So it requires redundant communications. So state abstraction solves that problem by assigning neighbor nodes to the same process. How it does is it first projects states into abstract states, and abstract states are assigned to the processor. So for example, if we say S prime only considers the position of tile 1, 2, and 3, this state is projected into this abstract state, and for each abstract state, we have a hash value, so that we get a hash value for the state. So the strength of using state abstraction is that it achieves low communication overhead, but the problem is that it has no mechanism for load balancing. So in fact, it achieves worse load balancing than Zoris hashing. So in previous work in critical AI, we proposed abstract Zoris hashing, which is a hybrid of previous two methods. The goal of the abstract Zoris hashing is to distribute nodes uniformly while assigning neighbor nodes to the same process. So it first applies feature abstraction, AIXI, to project features into abstract features, and then XOR the hash value of each abstract feature. I guess it's better to show the example in the puzzle. So state is again represented as a set of features, and in this time we project features into abstract features. And for each abstract features, we have an abstract feature hash value, and by XORing these values, we get a state hash value. So comparing to Zoris hashing, while Zoris hashing uses raw features as an input for Zoris hashing, abstract Zoris hashing uses abstract feature as an input for the Zoris hashing. And comparing to state abstraction, while state abstraction in state abstraction is defined over the whole state. But in abstract Zoris hashing, we define abstraction for each feature, not the whole state. So that's the difference. So abstract Zoris hashing achieves good load balancing using Zoris hashing for distribution, and also it reduces communication overhead using feature abstraction. And in the previous paper, we showed that abstract global hashing using handcrafted feature abstraction significantly outperformed previous method on a slide puzzle. So we want to extend the discussion on automated planning, in particular domain-independent classic planning. So to use those hashing for planning, we can simply use test plus variable for the input for those hashing. But to apply abstract zeros hashing on domain-independent planning, we have to generate feature abstraction, the mapping AIXI automatically. So we want to make the mapping AIXI for each task plus variables. So that's the focus of this paper. So actually we proposed a simple naive method in previous work on generating abstract feature automatically, so which we call greedy abstract feature generation. So it maps each task plus variable xi to abstract feature s1 and s2 based on xi's domain transition graphs. So we have an example again on the puzzle. So greedy abstract feature generation first assign the minimum degree node or the node with the least edges to S1, and then add to S1 the unassigned nodes which share the both edges with nodes in S1. And repeat that until the size of S1 reaches the half of that of PDG. And assign all unassigned nodes to S2. So we have the mapping from the value of x1, xi to abstract feature S1 and S2. And we can define the method such like this. So in the previous work, we evaluated abstract zeros hashing using greedy AFG on IPC benchmarks and multiple machine. But unfortunately, AZHA using greedy AFG achieved only a modest improvement over previous method. In fact, it only achieves like a fraction of seconds. So what's the problem of greedy AFG planning? Well, the problem is that greedy AFG incurs communication overhead if any of the abstract feature changes its value for the parent node. Because if any of AIXI changes, then the value of RI AIXI changes. Then the value of AZS changes. Thus incurs communication overhead. So that's actually a problem. So let's see why this is a problem on the example on blocks world. So this state of the blocks world can be represented using three class variables, and we define abstract feature using greedy FG. And let's see how these values transit in the course of the search. So So actually, this abstract feature on the left side always changes its value. Therefore, all node generation incurs communication overhead. So in fact, greedy FG is doing nothing for this domain. So that's a problem. So in our ICAPS paper, we propose fluency-based filtering, which ignores features which changes their values too frequently. So for example, on blocks world, we ignore this plus variable and then apply greedy AFG to the rest of the features. So to implement that policy, we first define the fluency of a variable x as the number of random actions which change the value of x divided by the total number of random actions. So using this notation, we can calculate the fluency of each plus variables. And for example, on blocks world, this variable has fluency of 1.0, so we want to ignore this one. And our current implementation ignores variables whose fluency is at the top 30% on the variables. So in this case, we ignore this one and use the method too. Well, in fact, we showed an example on the puzzle, but in fact, variables with high fluency are very common in a wide range of domains. For example, in domain modeling agents and environment interactions, variables modeling the state of agents tend to have high fluency. So this is not only the problem of blocks work, but actually a very common problem. So that was a summary of fluency-based filtering, and we don't talk detail here, but we also propose two other methods regarding the work distribution method. So if you're interested, please see the paper for detail. But in short, we propose operator-based service hashing. So service hashing, the problem is that it incurs significant communication overhead. So what we've done is that we initialize a random table so that the given operator does not change the hash value. So the idea is that if we modify the random bits before the search starts, we can mitigate some of the communication overhead. So we also improved state abstraction, which we call dynamic AHDA star. So in previous work, state abstraction for AHDA star used a fixed threshold to the number of the abstract nodes. Well, actually, this led to some optimal performance to instances with very difficulty. So our method, dynamic AHDA, sets the threshold according to the size of the problem difficulty. And our current implementation sets the threshold of the total number of features in the abstract state space to be 30% of the total number of features in the problem instance. So we ran experiments on the HUs and variants on IPC benchmark using 21 instances. We excluded instance, which is too easy to solve using 48 cores. We use 6 machines with 8 cores. Our code is based on fast-download MPSH3, used margin string heuristic, and we evaluate an AZHA star using gradient AFG with fluency-based filtering, and show that our fluency-based filtering significantly improved the performance compared to that without fluency-based filtering. And well, in fact, gradient AFG with fluency-based filtering, which we call FastDAP, achieves the best performance over other HAs and variants. It's actually quite a bit surprising for me that this simple mechanism improves the performance like this. So, to summarize the paper, we first proposed fluency-based filtering for AZHDA star, which ignores variables which frequently change their value. And we also proposed operator-based service hashing, which generates service hashing bit strings that ensures reuse communication overhead. And we also implemented dynamic AHDA star to determine the size of abstract state space according to the instance difficulty. And we ran an experiment and showed that AZHDA star plus fluency-based filtering performed the best performance. And that's all. Thank you very much.
And the mic is out of batteries. Wow, fantastic. We've got plenty of time for questions. I'm going to have just... There we go.
Who's got a question? Yes, Mark.
I'll
is it all done beforehand, offline, or are you taking some like execution traces into account to do like statistics on which features should, how the mapping from features to process should go?
No, just a sec, sorry.
So I guess the question is whether we define a hash function statically or dynamically. So when we in our work, a hash function is determined statically because we don't want to change the hash function or the distribution node dynamically because we want to run duplicate detection. So if we change the hash value in the course of the search, we may end up and we may cannot detect a duplicate detection. So we said we're currently setting the hash value statically, but actually we can maybe implement a method to reformulate the hash function in the course of search. But actually we are we also ran an experiment on cloud cluster, and we found that static hash function may not be the best answer. So, yeah. Did that answer your question?
Other questions?
For your response, try using that mic. We'll see if it's possible.
So I guess this is a related question. So there are these two aspects that kind of drag you in different directions, right? You want the locality of the expansions, but also you want the distribution of the workload.
Right.
And I guess, ideally I guess you could kind of measure both with some kind of parameter, and then you get a Pareto frontier or something like that. And presumably the kind of where you want to be also depends quite a lot on the environment, right? If it's like, I don't know, like distributed, and what is the communication overhead? Oh, okay, perfect. I think I should stop speaking and you tell us something. Yeah.
Well, I completely agree with you. The performance pretty much depends on which environment we are running the search, and we are currently working on that aspect. So we define metrics to estimate the wall time efficiency and the function of search overhead and communication overhead. So we have a parameter sheet here, which is basically the communication cost. So we are now working on calculating the C and see which distribution method works the best. So that's on the way of the work. Thank you.
Other questions? Are all the results that you presented today, are they all across multiple machines rather than just multiple cores of a single machine?
So currently we are only working on MPI. So we are working on 6 machines with 8 cores, but we do not distinguish the intra-machine communication from inter-machine communication. So maybe we can extend the method to implement using OpenMP and OpenMP and MPI hybrid system. So maybe that's a future work. But for now, we're only using MPI.
Okay, thanks. Last chance. Thank you very much. See you all back at the conference at 1:50.